Hello! In today's video, I'm encouraging us as a signing community to rise up and do better. Remember in my last video how I mentioned I'm noticing a tendency among ASL students to criticize others? Your sign is different than my teacher's, which obviously means you're wrong and I'm right. Remember how I mentioned that? Well, I think what's happening is this. They're watching the signing community and they're seeing the clashes, the infighting, the arguments, the criticizing each other. They see this and then go and criticize others themselves. I think sometimes these students are copying what they see. So, yes, ableism is involved in that behavior, sure. But I think that they're also aping what they see the signing community do. They're applying what they see and doing likewise to be just like you guys. That's what I think is happening. Now, I need to be careful in this video because this isn't everyone. Not all ASL students are doing this, and not all deaf are criticizing each other. Not at all. But, well, this is a very interesting time for the sign community. We're all trying to figure out where we fit in, what this will look like, because, well, you know the phrase growing pains? I think there's growing pain because in the past, the deaf community was quite insular. And now the community has grown so quickly. There's this army of ASL students, tens of thousands that have been joining the signing community. And we're finally recognizing that codas are absolutely part of this community. They're not outsiders. We're the deaf community and you're not. That's not happening anymore. Well, I should say it's happening less now. We now recognize that this is their heritage. Signing, the culture, the community are theirs. Even if they're not deaf, everything else is theirs too. And now, for all these interpreters, people will film them, post the videos online, and strangers critique them from afar. So interpreters have a lot of fear that way. So it's an interesting time for the community. And the rapid growth and the resulting growing pains, I think, are exacerbating, they're increasing what's called lateral oppression, which is when a minority community with its identity, language, heritage, and history, when a minority community experiences oppression, when they're looked down on, they're seen as less than, how may they respond? Well, instead of pointing fingers at the oppressor saying, you're wrong, why did you do this? Instead, they may turn against each other. And instead of encouraging and loving each other, instead of positive reinforcement, they look at each other with distrust. They spread negativity. They criticize. They look down on each other. They put each other down, saying, you're not good enough. Their hostility is horizontal. Now, this is the case for most minority groups, not just the deaf community, to be clear. So I think what's happening here online, on TikTok, on YouTube, I think this is what's happening. Specifically, linguism and lateral audism are happening. Linguism is discrimination based on language. So it's criticizing how someone signs. You signed that wrong. You don't sign well enough. Lateral audism is judgment based on identity. You're not deaf enough. Now, let me just say that I get it. I get that there are a lot of deaf creators online, on TikTok, especially TikTok, and on YouTube that probably shouldn't be teaching. Again, I get that. A lot of people teaching online don't know how to sign, or they just don't know how to teach. So I get that. But let me emphasize this. We're hurting each other. Instead of building up our community, we're dismantling it from the inside. And the respect that we have for each other seems to be just disappearing. Not always, but online, yes. Our community is suffering right now. But again, I'm hopeful that this is just a phase, that it's just growing pains. But as I see the arguments, I see the anger, the drama, the criticism, the rampant negativity, I see it and I think, this is just like what happened back in the day with Marlee Matlin. So Marlee was an actress in a movie, and she won, I think it was an Academy Award for her portrayal. Anyways, she stood up in front of the huge audience to receive her award, and then she gave her acceptance speech in spoken English, not sign. Now, understand that she had grown up with hearing. She had picked up some sign language, but she didn't grow up immersed in the deaf world. She didn't know deaf culture. She didn't identify as Big D deaf. She didn't know any of this. She was innocent and practically a teenager who didn't know about any of this. So when she stood up and spoke instead of signed, after practicing, I'm sure, practicing how to speak her entire life, which was no doubt a challenge, she chose to speak for her speech. But what happened was the deaf community was livid. They denounced her and were just so angry, which I get, because if that happened today, if Niall DeMarco or the Coda cast, if they had received such a prestigious award and then spoke instead of signed, I would feel so heartsick at that missed opportunity. It would be like a punch in the gut. But that instant response of anger and criticism against Marlee Matlin, well, it would be really hard for us to think of someone who is more recognized around the world, more famous amongst deaf and hearing, who has done more publicly to encourage change and improvement to build up this community than Marlee Matlin. She's done so much. So it's funny because in the past she would have been labeled not deaf enough, but she has become a leader in the deaf community in so many ways. So my concern is we're just so busy sniping at each other that we forget that we're a community, that we can build up each other. We can help those creators who are teaching by encouraging them to go to school to become teachers. Like now, go to school now. Or we can gently say, just so you know, that sign you're teaching, careful because that sign can be tricky. We can give gentle warnings rather than announcing to the world, criticizing publicly, or filming yourself railing at these creators, telling your followers how much you despise them and don't follow them. Let's just take a step back for a moment and remember that we're, first, all human beings. We're people of worth. And this community has a beautiful, rich history with a beautiful language, and it blesses so many, many people, not just deaf. People who can't speak, people with anxiety, people with autism, and people with so many struggles sign language blesses. So maybe instead of drawing such firm lines, we are the deaf community, so go away, you don't fit in here. Codas, I know you grew up in the community, but you too are not on the inside. Instead, perhaps we can just recognize that now is an interesting time where we can all gather together to form this community. That if the community grows even more, that means more visibility, more world recognition of this community, more people who learn ASL. It means more parents who, when having a deaf baby, instead of freaking out, they know to start learning sign. And if doctors say the age old, wait, don't learn to sign, like in the past, they can say, I've seen TikTok. I've seen people sign and I want to learn. This is a really uniquely wonderful time. So, again, instead of infighting, if we focused on elevating our community, if we supported each other, if we encouraged each other, and we remember the point of this community, the ability to have full communication, full inclusion in society, full acceptance, that's what our ancestors dreamed of. They dreamed of this moment when hearing people throughout the world wanted to learn to sign. That would have just floored them in the past. What? You are so lucky. While in modern times, we're feeling a little overwhelmed, like, what just happened? So I think that now is a precious time. It's a time when our tendencies, our old habits, like the infighting, can be left behind so we can move forward and improve as a community. The fact is that most linguistic minorities in the world today, most of these groups are shrinking. And their communities are so worried because no one is learning their language. Their children aren't learning their languages. They don't know what to do. Contrast this with ASL. It's probably one of the few minority languages that are growing at an exponential rate. That's crazy. That's unique and it's exciting. If you feel inspired now and ready to rise up as a community, please consider sharing this video. My reach is limited, but this message, I feel so strongly in my soul that now is the time. Now is the time to make this change, that now is the time to take our community to the next level.